This is Lemon's Car Spotting. You post to Instagram with the hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting. We pick the hooptiest.
They are so incredibly terrible.
And which one we want to become a real Lemon's build.
It does car-like things. I've been pushing for one of those in Lemons too, and those are very affordable.
Hey, it's Nick and it's Eric. This is Lemon's Car Spotting. You guys know the drill. We've got Lemon's build here. We've got hooptiest here. Eric, close your eyes. Tell me when to stop.
All right. Stop.
That's the Lemon's build. You're the
right.
Lemon's build. I'm the hooptiest. Let's go.
Do the thing.
Do the thing with the thing.
Oh, baby.
Ah,
That's a wrong start.
wow. What variety.
Yeah, boy. Eclipse, Previa, and a Chrysler, maybe?
Yeah, who knows? You know, once again, our knowledge of 50s and 60s big giant American cars could be better. And then, of course, a Chevy truck on the other side of that. But yeah, I mean, as a Previa owner, I will not say anything bad about the Previa, one of the greatest vehicles ever made. I don't know what kind of big giant American car that is, and I kind of know that generation Eclipse is not a good car. That's about all I've got.
Yeah, that is a 4th gen Eclipse. I think I got that right.
Yeah,
which is
about right.
Basically a much heavier Chrysler Sebring at that point.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah. We've never seen an Eclipse of that generation in Lemons, question mark?
I don't know. That's a really
the
good question.
earlier 1G, 2G Eclipses /
plenty of
Talon
those,
/ Laser. They had the 4G64, which of course people on the internet, you're a vacuum line and a chip tune away from 600 horsepower. You'll never guess what the track record of such a setup is in an endurance race. But you're welcome to give it a shot, or give it a shot with one of these, which I think these had like a V6 or something in it. Yeah,
it was the 6G74. I don't know, whatever was in the SUV at the time. They were like, yeah, it's a sports car engine. Totally.
yeah. Well, and Previas have an incredible track record as far as winning major awards in Lemons and being not fast but very reliable in Lemons. Again, nothing bad to say about a Previa.
Yeah, that's a good trio from Jesse Ports.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, thanks for the submission. All right, next up. What? Oh, it's a Eagle Premier.
Yep. Looks like it was taken at Radwood, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Slightly cheating to go to a junkyard or car show. However, I will allow it, given the fact that I have not seen an Eagle Premier in I don't know how long.
Yeah. We've only ever had one in Lemons, and it was the same team brought one that gave away a Wartburg, which tells you everything you need to know about the Eagle Premier owner.
Yeah. This goes back, 10 plus years, right?
Nelson's Ledges,
Yeah, a guy emailed me out of the blue, says, I've got a Wartburg 311 sedan in my yard. Do you want it? And of course, we do not want it, but we conducted this, write an essay as a giveaway. And Jim Thwaite out there on the East Coast won the essay contest, swapped a Subaru motor into the back of the previously 2-stroke Wartburg, ran it at Summit Point, I think won a major award, whether it was IOE or Choice. And then that was the last we saw of that thing.
Yep, it was an IOE. Last I knew, that car had changed hands, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And was being built into a gasser-style drag car.
Oh, excellent.
Which is amazing.
That's incredible. So like Eric said, the source of the Wartburg, the guy who's giving it away, had a Eagle Premier, or it's the same as a Renault, 21?
25? 25, I think. Yeah.
And he said, well, yeah, I'm not giving that away. I'm racing that in Lemons. Like, all right, sure.
Yeah. Incidentally, DeLorean people, while we're talking about weirdos, they want the engines out of these because this version of the PRV V6 was like another 20 horsepower.
Oh, this is the pinnacle of PRV performance.
This is the apex of PRV performance. Yeah.
Well, This guy better watch his back for those DeLorean guys coming to part out his vehicle. All right, next up. Oh, Z car looks like actually fairly early one. It's a short wheelbase, probably a 240.
Yeah.
I don't know about the modern-ish wheels and the monster truck ride height, but otherwise, it's an iconic car. Don't have any issues with these.
Yeah, I'm find the pattern of wear on the tops of everything very curious. Like it's completely sun-baked, but was only partially exposed or something.
I feel like it had a car cover on it that only covered the sections that are now screwed up and moisture got in there, and that's what ate the paint away.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah.
So 240Zs, there are a couple of classic cars that Porsche 911s being the most obvious. Some Alphas to a certain extent have just skyrocketed in value because they have an appeal. It's younger, moneyed folks that are buying them. It's the Instagram generation that are buying them. That hasn't happened to the 240Z. And, car-wise, it's right up there with the best of the era. So if you want an affordable classic, go for that.
Yeah. Larry Chen famously has a 240Z. Really cool one.
Yeah.
Photographer.
Yeah. All right. Next up. Now we're talking.
Yes.
The monster Saturn that the world didn't know that it needed has arrived.
Man, there's so much good happening there. Obviously, a body dropped on probably a K10 Blazer. Or something
looks like Chevy wheels. So yeah,
K5 Blazer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love the wing, as though that is a crucial element when there's 4 feet of air underneath the car.
Right. It's got a sun visor too, like a 1950s hot rod style sun visor.
Somebody has a good sense of humor about
yeah. Well, there are obviously a lot of body swapped cars like this in the 4x4 community because what counts in the 4x4 world is your frame and your axles and such. But I feel like every single one of them should be like this, If you go out on a trail, why would you see, 10 Jeep Wranglers and a few Tacomas? You should see a Saturn, a Wartburg, all on top of the chassis for those other cars.
Yeah. This is kind of a great usage of a Saturn that probably launched its motor, as they all do eventually. And you're like, what am I going to do with it? Well, they're quasi comfortable cars inside, and they're pretty durable. If you're going to bounce it off rocks, it's just going to crack the plastic. So, totally on board with this.
Yep. And probably wouldn't want you lemons racing something like this, but it certainly could be a tow vehicle for your race Saturn.
Yeah. Oh man, pulling into the paddock with this, pulling a first gen SL2. Oh, that would be fantastic.
You're the king of the paddock already. Yeah, definitely.
More of this.
Next up. There we go. The Houston Slab. What not? He's got plenty of poke. Actually, what I like about this? One of the issues, the practical issues of having orangutan poke on your Slab is fender clearance.
Right.
And, this generation Cadillac sort of has a low skirt rear fender. But boy, he's got the fitment just so that in theory does not, it would make a hell of a sound if he ever bottomed that thing out. But
I was just playing over in my head, hitting a pothole, an Illinois pothole in this. But yes.
Yeah. Boy, we've talked a lot about slabs and how much we love them. I would like to know the origin of, I think they just call them belts, the little chrome trim strips on the trunk, like the origin of that. Because the wheels poking out is an evolution of the 83s and 84s, optional wire wheels on your Cadillac that got to make them longer and longer and longer. But the belts, I don't know where that comes from. It adds a little formal, classy touch to the whole thing.
Yeah, I like the chrome trimmed taillights is also super classy.
Yeah,
into that.
Very nice.
It's a good spot, Jay Klontz.
Yep. What's amazing is if you go to Houston, you've got a pretty good chance of seeing one of these. Like it's not just like 4 dudes driving around.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've definitely seen one on one of our trips to MSR Houston. And it's so exciting to see one in the wild.
Yeah. Interesting. This one's not part of one of the colored clicks. They got red and teal and blue. This one, maroon.
He's out on his own in the sort of brown beige zone, which I like.
Yep.
All right. Next up. Oh man. This is
it took me a second to even realize what I was looking at, and then it was like, perfect sense.
So this is a generation younger than me. Like, if I was in high school, 10, 15 years later than I was, then maybe kids in my high school would have been driving stuff like this. But this style of modification, the big luxury sedan, drop to the ground, different color body panels, stickers everywhere, stylishly bent license plate. That whole scene didn't arrive until I was old enough to know better. And let me qualify that by saying there's no way that the owner of this car is older than like 22. Like as soon as you like reach a point, you're like, okay, I can't drive this anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it takes a couple of fused vertebrae for that to happen.
Right, that's true. Yeah. I mean, the person my age, my back can't handle it.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, we are famously we famously place very little value on classics and the ruining thereof. I will say that this car was probably fine before this kid started messing with it.
Yeah,
because it's a GS 300. I'm not losing any sleep over it, but just making that point.
Yeah, GS 300, by the way, falls in the classic Lexus owner pantheon. This is like 14 owners into its history. Maintenance hasn't been done since the third one. So
we need to do one of those, like the evolution chart of Neanderthal man into modern human. We need to do the ownership chart of a Lexus, where it starts out with the guy with the button down blue dress shirt and khakis and coffee cup, and then winds up with riff raff and Lil Van at the other end. 14 years and 14 owners later. So
I don't think we've ever had a GS in Lemons. We've had LSs and SCs and ESs.
Yeah, I mean it's the same car as all those. You could get either the UZ Series V8 or the JZ Series Straight 6 in these. So good Lemons car candidate. Surely you get that one for Lemons money.
Yeah.
All right.
Oof.
To the junkyard we go. Oh, it's a 928. Why you rooting classic?
Yeah. I mean, this is the classic argument that I cannot find this car. And, here it is. Somebody has thrown it out. That is all that Lemons is cars that people have thrown out. And it's right there.
Yeah. Well, and the 928, I mean, God, like some other Porsches, it's gotten its own ego inflated by a small group of people who think it's the greatest car of all time, when in a void it's so not the greatest car of all time. I mean, it had some impressive things for the late 70s when it came out, but it was so expensive, so complicated, so difficult and costly to fix that they just don't look that good. I mean, I guess they're powerful and comfortable and whatever, but I'd rather have a GS 300 than a 928 personally. But it makes for a great Lemons car for that reason. Because I mean, like they had close to, if not 300 horsepower. We're not going to probably sweat you too hard if it's a honest to goodness sort of used looking 928. There have been a couple of abandoned ones in the back lot at Thunderhill for as long as we've been going there. So if you're a Thunderhill racer, next time just go and take one. They'll never know. And turn it into your next Lemons car.
Yeah, it just occurred to me while you were talking about complicated. I never really thought of it this way, but that must have been the first 4-cam V8 that was sold commercially.
It's
or
possible.
Close to it.
Yeah. It's got to be in the conversation. Yeah. Well, going back to the very roots of Lemons, Jay famously had a 928 as a double 500 car. And the double 500 being the road version of the Lemons that inspired the Lemons, because it turned out 500 miles in a $500 car wasn't actually that hard. And Lemons was a way to increase the challenge. So Jay came across a 928, and the back end was made entirely of Bondo. And it was so cattywampus, like it was bent in so many different planes. Like if you looked at it from the dead rear, it was this way, and like the profile was this way, and it was a messed up car, very clearly $500. And famously, it was an automatic, and one of the transmission cooler lines went out. He went to the Porsche dealer, and they wanted like $1,700 for it. And instead, he went around the corner to the forklift repair shop in West Oakland, and they said, "Oh yeah, it's just a hose with some fittings on this. We'll make this for you for $20." So there are ways to keep a 928 on the road without paying the usual Porsche prices.
Yeah, I think there's also, I don't know what that was in the background, by the way.
Let's see.
The white car is a Taurus, maybe.
Well, a car to the left is an Outback.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there's a Rendezvous in the way back.
The Rendezvous is what I was mostly standing. I was going to work my way back there, but great Lemons car waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Rendezvous.
Yeah, that actually looks like a Honda Odyssey right behind the 928, which of all of these choices is by far the best.
Yeah, 100%
car. Yeah. All right. Next up. Oh, this car is famous. This is from Cool Hand 454, aka Keith, a longtime friend of Lemons out there in your neck of the woods, Eric.
Yeah, he's in Chicago proper. Boy, this is an old vintage photo, by the way, from 2011. So, boy, I don't know. Is this an Oldsmobile?
Yeah, sure. Like
that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. As I recall, I remember hearing Keith talk about this car, and it was one of those cars that was just like a fixture, and you'd see it around. I mean, God, in Chicago, it's so aggressive to have no roof.
Right. This is clearly in, about this time of year, like, late February, early March, with the snow piled up in the background.
Yeah.
It took me a second to place that as to why that looked weird. And, put two and two together that this crazy person's driving a convertible in the winter time.
Yeah.
There's so much happening. And the more you look at it, the crazier it gets, with the hood scoop made out of plywood. The front fender pontoon that, ends in an arch, I guess, with, I guess they're going for like a slab-sided Lincoln look.
Sure, yeah.
Wheel skirts, the roll bar, quote unquote.
I would not want to be in a roller accident in this thing.
Yeah, I mean, wood, what can it do besides not keep your head intact? And then it looks like there's a wind deflector atop the windshield.
Which indicates that that's like a development that was made after the fact. After putting a lot of R&D miles on it, the guy realized, I'm going to have to make an aerodynamic adjustment to this situation.
Yeah, which begs the question: why didn't GM put this into production?
Well, the world will never know. GM,
it's probably a Ford, and I'm making egregious errors. It doesn't actually matter.
It's got to be a GM. Look at it.
What I like to think of when I look at a car like this is the feeling of opening the door and the feeling of sag on the hinges by 2.5 inches.
Well, the feeling of commitment like that might not ever close again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh man. And then the triumph that comes with closing it. Like, I live to see another day.
That's right.
All right.
Next up. Oh, there we go. Citroen 2CV. What do they call this? It's like the truckette or whatever it is, the little van version.
Yeah, I can never remember what
was it. Peter Egan who described the styling of this as a three-toed sloth trying to escape a Quonset hut, which I think is about right.
Yeah, boy, I don't know there's much else to say about that.
Yeah. I mean, if I were to get a TCV, this would be the one. I think the van proportions are the best styling wise. I've heard nothing but good things about 2CVs from people that I trust to know things about cars, including Peter Egan, including Sam Smith from Road and Track. There's a local guy who is a weird French and Lancia mechanic who's got a 2CV. So they must be onto something. That's all I could say.
Yeah, 3-lug wheels and 9 horsepower.
Yeah. Another famously long-lived production run.
Yeah,
the 60s to the 90s or some such.
I thought it was even the 50s, but
50s.
Yeah.
Very Beetle-like range there. All right, last car of the week. Back to one of our staples, the good old Dustbuster minivan. This one being my personal favorite, the Pontiac Transport.
Yeah, color keyed wheels, man.
Yeah.
That is I feel like the option sheet was just the most crazy balls like set of options in the world. Like, I want this minivan that looks like a space shuttle, but I want the wheels to be the same color as the rest of it.
Yeah. Well, we famously said in the past, I don't know whether this came before or after the Previa, but it sure smacks of like the Previa came out and somebody at General Motors was like, that's the most amazing thing. That's the direction this whole industry is going. Make it happen. And then they came up with this, which is like, once again, the 6-year-old crayon drawing interpretation version of a Toyota Previa.
Yeah. That right down to the letter. I think you nailed exactly what happened there.
I also
these were just so crazy. They're so crazy to see them in person. Like,
and I haven't seen one in person in forever. I also want to talk about the name Transport. There's something very GM about that too. It's like they thought they were so clever and cutting edge. We're like, it's transport, as in like you need transport to get a place, but it's also sport. So it's transport.
Yeah. Also, it transcends sports.
Right. And all 350 people in the corporate boardroom meeting nodded and applauded that one dude for being a genius.
I feel like there is like one of those, matching games in the Pontiac boardroom that was like the first word, second word,
right.
Trans am. Okay. So, Grand
Am. It's like one of those online generators that makes you your own Wu-Tang name. I want an 80s General Motors product planner name generator.
Perfect. If you're looking for a good Lemons bribe, that's it. And if you're looking for a good Lemons build, a Pontiac, let's see, Transpre would be a good one.
That would be good. Oh man.
Grand Sport. Yeah. The Transport. Yeah, obviously exists.
We're gonna need that GIF with all the numbers going by.
That's exactly.
All right. I've got the hooptiest. Boy, a couple of good. Monster Truck Saturn is always going to be in the conversation,
right?
But I can't not pick the Chicago Street Warrior that is the whatever this is, the Omega or whatever the heck kind of Buick Oldsmobile thing. Customized fins, fender skirts, headlight shades thing is happening here. God, it even looks, the whole car's not even in the picture. Like there's some kind of central grill thing that extends out beyond the photo. It's an amazing thing and it's incredibly hoopty.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know if you have the daily double queued up, but I mean, obviously this thing needs a roll cage. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put a cage. Somebody find this thing. I suppose the owner probably will never part with it willingly, but if you ever found something like this, you know, take pictures of it as you found it, obviously, because you need the before. Just put a cage in it, put some numbers on it, show up. We will throw a trophy at you. It's totally perfect for Lemons.
Oh, 100%. And can you imagine, like, everybody's made, there have been numerous replicas of Back to the Future DeLoreans, you know, iconic movie cars. Imagine like printing out this picture and then like, okay, what do we think type of rain gutter makes the side trim?
Yeah.
And then just try to replicate every little piece.
You know what? That would be the perfect one person gets it Lemons theme.
The
picture from Lemons car spotting taken by Keith Kemp in Chicago.
Yeah.
And you have replicated it perfectly. So somebody please do that
do it.
For
make it happen.
Sake.
It will make us very happy. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week. Keep doing it, man. The selections seem like they keep getting better and better. Tag Lemons Car Spotting on Instagram, and we'll review them here. Oh, man. And we've got the eBay Motors Halloween Meets Gasoline prize. Now you can win $1,000 for bringing a good theme. So, you know, this car could very easily pay for itself.
That's right. And you can still put it on cool wheels.